Welcome back to Fantasy Turf War, the show where 64 teams go head-to-head to see who's the ultimate champion. I'm, of course, Commissioner Corey, and back with the Thursday updates for Week 7 of our first inaugural season. It's a repetitive word. But before we get started, we've got a few announcements to make. If you are not currently enrolled in the October contest, make sure you check out the description in the YouTube show below. That contest is running through 31 October, 11:59 p.m. You can win lots of great prizes, some autograph cards from NFL players, of course. We have some branded merchandise, some T-shirts, some stickers, some cups, tumblers, I think they're called now. We also have our grand prize, which is it's in the back, but it's a Christian McCaffrey autograph Beckett certified helmet, full-size helmet, and that will be part of the grand prize package to the winner. So completely free to enter. That link is also in the description. And make sure you are checking back daily. There's new tasks you can accomplish every day to get additional entries into the contest, and hopefully you are successful come the end of the month. Could be a good Halloween for you. Let's see what else we got. New merch. So we have a new merchandise. We stood up our shop. We're using Fourth Wall. That link is also in the description. Some of the things we have in there are T-shirts. I love the Morning Miracle. It's the Monday Morning Miracle. Is where you're waiting on those desperate points on a Monday to pull off the victory, and so it's a good lucky T-shirt to wear. And we're working on new designs. We have a ton of merchandise. We're getting lined up for the holiday season, so make sure you're checking back every once in a while. We'll kind of make our announcements once we have new products. But if you're wearing it, we want to know that too. So tag us in your Instagram posts or wherever that may be. And you never know when we're watching. Maybe there's some prizes involved if we see you out and about. Good times for everybody. One of the other things we announced on last night's show is our community call. And so we are going to turn our Tuesday shows. We had been taking feedback in the last part of the show. We save about 10-15 minutes at the end to take listener questions, usually start-sit questions, who should I pick up kind of things. Sometimes people are throwing shade on some of the other team member or league members and things like that. So always good time. So we're going to take that up a notch, and we are building out a watch party. And so what we're able to do through the magic of eCam is have a separate room where essentially a green room where fans of the show can hang out. We'll be hanging out in there as well during the show, checking the chat in there. You guys can talk to each other, and then when it comes time for the listener questions, we can actually pull you directly into the show, the live show on Tuesday, and you can ask your questions directly to us. And so we don't have to worry about any sort of lag time from YouTube chats or anything like that. You can just ask us directly, and maybe we'll get to a point where we have people, start pre-submitting lineups in their questions so that we can, most accurately address it. Matt is pretty good at his advice. He is currently ranked 3rd in the league. I'm not playing, but I like to consider myself somewhat of an expert, hopefully, at fantasy football. So I think we can certainly help you out. And I love the idea of making the show even more immersive and interactive. And the show is not possible without the 64 teams, which are largely small businesses, coming together to make it work. And the show is not possible without you at home. And so we want to make you a part of it. And so by doing that, we'll have you on. We'll ask you a few questions about yourself, kind of thing, and then we'll get to talking shop and football and see what we can do to help, or whatever you want to talk about. YouTube friendly, of course. So I'm really excited about it. We have it already tested out, so it is something we're going to roll into. But if you want to be part of that, the only way to get notified, and I'm building that notification right now, is to sign up on our website. So that's fantasyturfwar.com. And scroll down on the homepage, or you can go to the join button on the top right. Type in your email and join our email list. That is the only way I have to get in touch with you about the Zoom call. So if you want to be a part of it, we very much want to have you, but you've got to sign up the email list. And if you enter into the contest, we will pull your email from that as well, so to make sure you're in there. So you have a couple different ways to get into the notification realm, but that'll be the only way you can get in. And it is by invite, so it's not just a come and go kind of thing. let me take that back. It is come and go in the sense that you're not restricted or bound to it or anything like that. But it is it's not just open access. We do control it a little bit to prevent some of the bots that we've had, and some of the people who just want to talk about stuff that's not really appropriate for families and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. So we have to gatekeep a little bit, but we want to make sure that we're making this as accessible as possible to everyone else as we can. And on that note of accessibility, if you were watching along last night, you found out that we were live on Twitter, X, whatever it's called these days. We were live there as well. Seem to have about same size audience as we did on YouTube on Twitter, so that's awesome. We're going to continue to scale that out. We are working on our Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. I'm sure I'm missing something, but if you've got the platform, we're probably trying to get to that as well. Takes a little bit of time to scale, and you want to test one at a time to make sure you don't break anything else in the process. As you saw with our Tuesday show, the show went down from stream key issues. But we have those resolved now. But we are live on Twitter and YouTube every week, Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. And so, put the kiddos down, grab your lineups, take a look at the week that you just had, and let's see if we can make some good decisions for your fantasy leagues going forward. But I'm just going to say without further ado, I hate saying that. So let's hop into week 6 for Fantasy Turf War and take a look at what the divisions did. All right, got our lovely new graphics here. All right, Division 1. So you had the Vibe taking down Bam Bam, 101.74 to 82.7. Screaming Pomeranians, 143.3 to 96.86 against the Magic Makers, and so that's a pretty decisive win. Coach's Desk with a hard-fought win against Lambeau Calrissian, 119.4 to 115.3. So we like to say in our league, the average points scored, if you break 100, you should be expecting to win. So it is a heartbreaking thing to see someone break 100 and lose, but it does happen every week. So tough loss for Lambeau. I know he could have used the win, but so could Coach's Desk. So tough fight and keep it going. Carswell Golf, 118.02 to Avery and Jeff C, 84.16. Lamb Chops beaten Teardown, another one of those over the century mark losses, 118.72 to 103.02. Last place winner, Rich and Mariella, 65.82, losing to Stat Daddy, 72.26. General OGFL, that's Teamer, 81.36, taking a big loss against Lefties, 144.86. And for the last matchup in Division 1, we have Floyd Beard against Jive Turkeys. Jive Turkeys taking the win, 53.68 to 40.5, and that is Jive Turkey's first win of the season, so congrats for making your way up the charts there. All right, let's go to the next one. So this is the rankings for Division 1. Lamb Chops keeps his number 1 rank in the division, followed by Carswell Golf. Lefties coming in at 3, Stat Daddies at 4, The Vibe is in 5th, Avery and Jeff C at 6, Teardown at 7, Magic Makers are rounding out your top 8 in the division. General OGFL, Floyd Beard, Screaming Pomeranians, The Coach's Desk, last place winner, Lambeau Calrissian, Bam Bam, and Jive Turkeys taking down the last bit of that division. Let's hop into Division 2. Who let the Service Dogs out with a whopping 169.86 against Strange Brew, 106.36. That is a game to keep in mind. That will come up again later. Strange Brew, tough loss, breaking the century mark, and Service Dogs out, putting up a huge win, and it is a record. So spoiler alert there. The Mystics taking a loss against Full Time Fantasy, 95.12 to 94.74. Keep an eye on that game as well. I believe that comes up later in the show. Team Coco beating the Ren Zone, 65.78 to 74.4. Southside Stampede, 126.4 to Influencing Winds, 79.3. Mark Manzella, 98.86 against Welker Home Peyton, formerly known as Katie Louise, 108.14 to 98.86. Just Joshin, formerly known as Lauren's Logic, who is our host, Lauren Hill, 131.7, beating out Sports Idiot Nation, 92.76. That's a solid win for her. Her second win overall in the season. We did give her some shit about it. Team Smooth, 114.92 to Legit Sports, 108.02, beating out Matt. He's climbing the ranks pretty well this week. And then the last matchup is Game Time Sports Network. Jay taking a loss against Shady Brady, 105.9. So it looks like Shady has come out of his lose streak and is working his way back up. Let's take a look at the rankings. Southside Stampede taking over the number one spot again. I believe he was the number one spot last week as well. Excuse me. Followed by Who Let the Service Dogs Out? Team Smooth, Shady Brady, Strange Brew, The Mystics, Legit Sports Media, Mark Manzella, Full Time Fantasy, Game Time Sports Network, Katie Louise. That's a typo on my fault. My part. I apologize, Katie. I'll switch that over. Sports Idiot Nation, Just Joshin, Team Coco, Influencing a Win, and in last place is the Ren Zone. And should have brought this up on the previous slides, but if you're new to this, the teams that are highlighted in green and red are significant. So the way we do Fantasy Turf War is at the end of week 14, the top two teams in each division, which are your greens, will be seeded into an 18 playoff bracket and go against each other with all the divisions to see who's that ultimate champion. The red team, the bottom of every division, is currently in the running for the punishment. So the loser of the overall division of every league will have to partake in a fantasy punishment of sorts. And then the overall loser of all four divisions will have to do something called, what's it called? The Arc, that's what it's called. And they'll have to do a bunch of different things. So it's always fun, and it's all in good fun. We don't do anything too crazy. A little crazy, not too crazy. Let's take a look at Division 3. Gridiron Goddess taking a loss against Rad Dad, keeping his undefeated record 136.16 to 74.52. Yippee-ki-yay, Justin Tucker. I always love saying this one every week. 110.82. Dino Sports 66.66. All right, that's an interesting number. Gorilla Camp Talon beating out Gilly's Gang 119.04 to 112.02. That's a century mark loss. That's tough. Bevskins beating out Kamish Kit 121.52 to 76.2. Zach over at Flourish Sports 150.6 against 47.5. That is a solid win. Almost a record. Close. No cigar. Masterpieces 77.86 to Marketing Happy Hour Cassie 45.4. We'll chalk this one up to the Hurricane, but taking a loss there. Tank also keeping his undefeated record alive at 116.8 against Boba Sensei, so close, 109.08. And then Cup of Almond Ramen Noodles, another fun one to say, 109.7 to 81.02. So solid week there. Lots of high scoring games here. Division 3's rankings. So again, we have two undefeated teams. These are the only two in the league. We'll cover that in a second. Rad Dad Network, followed by Tank. Rad Dad has more points scored, and we're going to start showing those statistics now that we've cleared a few weeks. Followed by Bevskins, Flurry Sports, Gorilla Camp, Yippee-ki-yay, Justin Tucker, Gridiron Goddess, and Boba Sensei. Cup of Almond Ramen Noodles, The Masterpieces, Gilly's Gang, Big Nick's Energy, Dino Sports, Marketing Happy Hour, Kamish Kit, and Jordan Short. So Jordan's still sitting at the bottom of that division. Hopefully we can get her out of that. Division 4. Well, looks like we've got another one, folks. We've got Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader taking down Excitement pretty handily, 115.64 to 62.3. Cobra Kai 120.14, taking a really tough loss against Downfield Reapers, 125.82. So well over the century mark and a loss. That's a tough one. 75.9 for the Cupertino Deadites over at Dragon's Horde, beating out 73.9 Ryan Carr. Shiar Shugoths 109.84 to Bees in the Backfield 119.82. It's a solid win for Renee. Shiar Shugoths with another century loss. Fantasy Couriers 102.86 against Team Ohana Rizzlers 101.2 century loss. Crush Crew coming in with an awesome win against Diamond Dogs. That's definitely an upset. 56.3 to 100.78. Locked On Fantasy Baseball, our other host, Matthew Wane, 133.66 against Cardiacs with an even 99. Don't see an even score too often. And also with a win this week is Figment's Crew 101.86 to 95.9, which is against Rachel Douglas. Those teams will come up later today on some of our short form content. All right, let's take a look at the rankings. Oh, pardon me. Let's take a look at the rankings. All right, top of Division 4, Matthew Wane, Locked On Fantasy Baseball, followed by Fantasy Couriers podcast. That's DJ Dove and JJ Wang. Cobra Kai, T-Bohana Rizzlers, Diamond Dogs, Bees in the Backfield, Cupertino Deadites, the Shiar Shoogoths, Downfield Reapers, the Crush Crew, Ryan Carr, Cardiacs, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, jumping up to 13, Figment's Crew at 14, followed by Excitement, and then the 16th spot is Rachel Douglas. All right. So one of my favorite parts about fantasy football, especially in Fantasy Turf War, are all the statistics. And so these are some great ones. We have, you can see the average points per division is pretty high, and coming off a 2 week. Let me pause that one out. So points were pretty even across the league for the first 3 weeks, and then you started to see some real differentiation about time for the bye weeks and stuff like that. So you can now see that there are some clear point winners across the divisions. Division 2 is the highest average points per division, so definitely a contender there when it comes to playoff time. Average points per division just for week 6. So this is if you wanted to win a game, you wanted to be above this point mark, and so the only division that was above the century mark is Division 2, 101.86. Everybody else was sub 100, and if you were in Division 3, you had an even easier time this week because the average score was a 93.84. So keep that in mind. This is a total average from the entire season. So we usually tell people, and this is where it comes from. If you score over 100 points, you should expect to win your game. That is getting less true for Division 2. The average points all season long right now in Division 2 is 99.19. So if you scored 100, you're going to win, but it's going to be close. Everyone else, it's a little bit less. Division 3 is the easiest in terms of points scored. This is the first 6 weeks average points per team across the entire league. So this week we're down a little bit from the week prior. So we're at 98.71 was the average score across the league. So number 2 in terms of the weeks overall. So still a really strong week for the league, but not as good as last week. Highs and lows. This is a little bit different than last week because we have a new high. 169.86 is a new season high for any division, and it's definitely high for Division 2. All the other numbers are the same, but you can see that there are some differences now in the first 2 divisions in terms of a high score and low score. Divisions 1 and 2 seem to be able to excel to that extra gear. Total points as a league, and so we talked about this before with the averages, but this week we put up a total of 6,317.58 points, which is quite a bit less than last week, but is also the second highest week overall. So really strong, especially going into the bye weeks. You're never really sure how the teams are going to react to having to sit players, swap players out, that kind of thing. So looks like they're taking it pretty well, and we'll see how they do next week. We have 2 teams that are still undefeated in the league. That is Dennis Tresca over at Rad Dad and Tank Latier over at Tik Tok podcast. Both teams are now 6-0. They have both come close to losing, but no one has been able to achieve it yet. So we'll see if that is something that is able to happen this week or if they're able to hold on. We will say we've never had a team go into the playoffs undefeated, so let's see how far they can go. So these guys are also tied for the record for Fantasy Turf War in longest win streak. Speaking of records, we have a couple new ones this week. Previous record for most points in a single game was set by TI Jonathan Mohan with a 167.1 back in week 3, but we have a new record. Cameron Bassett over at the Shelter Dogs for Veterans and Who Let the Service Dogs Out has a new record of 169.86 for a single game this week against Strange Brew. We also have another new record set. The previous record for the smallest margin of victory was set by Teamer Terry at a 1.5 point differential back in week 1 against Bam Bam. The new record is set by Matthew Brandon over at Full Time Fantasy with a 0.38 differential. So cutting it down quite a bit. He did it this week, apologize. So beating out the Mystics 94.74 to 95.12. This is probably everyone's favorite part of the show. We go through the overall rankings for the week of October 17th, going into week 7 in the NFL. So sitting in the number 1 spot, we still have Dennis Tresca, followed by Tank Latier, Matthew Wane, Desmond Ordonez, Charles Carswell, Kevin Beverly, Eric Arena, Justin Davies, Dan Brown Jr., the Fantasy Couriers podcast, Cameron Bassett, Timothy Trilk, Joe Knight, Zach Brunner, Mike Lanza, and Renee Neal are your top 16. And if you remember from a little bit ago, we talked about the green indicators being the current front runners for each division. So it is interesting that the 6, 7, and 8 spots are in those positions, but they are not currently contenders for the playoffs because they are not the top of their division. So always plays out this way. Always interesting to see how it shapes up, but we've still got a lot of season to go. So see how it works. 17-32, Jesse Grund, Pastor Jack, Matthew Metzbauer, Casey Garcia, Alex Kaplan, Zach Fisher, Talon Van Horn, Matthew Rummick, Mark Manzella, Ben Fisher, Jeffrey Demers, Jeff C., Matt Josephs, Michael Crystal, Casey Woolley, and Susan C., rounding out your top 32. Starting out the bottom half of the league, Teamer Terry, Chet Atkins, Michelle Halleck, Matt Brandon, Nick Nichols, Jay Harper, Katie and Jutt, Scott Habib, Floyd Beard, T.I., Gilly Gilmartin, Vegas Maddie, Lauren Hill, Becky Mankin, Kurt Swilly, and Sean Petnati. The bottom 16, Cardiacs, Ryan Carr, Sebastian Bassett, Eric Lund, Evan Coco, Team Coco, I'm not even going to bother anymore, Adam Marino, Cassie Tucker, Richard Falls, Matt Brown, Lauren Kaler, Eddie Fries, Andy Schiffer, Julius Adams, DJ Hall, Rachel Douglas, and Jordan Short are your bottom 16. And you can see that the 58th ranked Lauren Kaler is in contention for the last place in her division, but there are 3 teams between her and the actual bottom of the league. So always interesting to watch it happen. So it just depends on what league and how well you're doing. All right. Now we've got week 7's lineup matchups for the guinea pigs. Here is a brief overview. You've got Bam Bam against Stat Daddy, Magic Makers against Carswell Golf, the Coach's Desk against Teardown, Lamb Chops against Jeff C., last place winner against Jive Turkeys, General GFL against Floyd Beard, Screaming Pomeranians against Lambo Calrissian, and Lefties against The Vibe. Let's break it down a little bit further. You've got Bam Bam 1-5 going against Stat Daddies, who is 5-1. So quite a contrast here. Let's see if Andy can pull off a big upset. Casey at the Magic Makers, 3-3 going against Carswell Golf. Let's see if they can pull off the upset there. Sean Petnati over at the Coach's Desk against Teardown, Michael Crystal. Very close match, 30th ranked against 48th ranked. Desmond Ordonez in the lamb chops against Avery and Jeff C. Jeff C's 3-3 right now, and lamb chops is 5-1. So let's see if Desmond can continue to stay at the top spot in the division. And you have last place winner Richard Falls against DJ Hall Jive Turkey. Both teams are towards the bottom here, so this will really cement one of them towards the bottom and hopefully boost the other one into a contending spot for the division. We also have Teamer Terry, 3-3, going up against Big Beard, Floyd Beard, 3-3 on both teams, 33 and 41 ranked. This would be a very close one to watch. And we have the Screaming Pomeranians, 2-4 against Lambeau Calrissian, 1-5. And I believe the last matchup in this division is the Lefties at 5-1 against the Vibe. This will be a very good one to watch. Both teams are very competitive, putting up tons of points, and will definitely be one to keep an eye on this week. Division 2, any given Sunday. Let's take a look at your matchups for Week 7. All right, our overview. We've got Who Let the Shelter Dogs Out against Jay Harper at Game Time. Alex and the Mystics against Timothy Trilk and the Smooth. Team Coco against Pastor Jack and Strange Brew. Dan Brown Jr. against the Ren Zone. Mark Manzella against our host Lauren Hill. Matt Brandon Full-Time Fantasy against Sports Idiot Nation. Influencer TV Adam against Mike Lanza. And Matt versus Katie Louisi, it's Welker Home Peyton. Let's break this one down. Shelter Dogs Veterans 4-2 going against Game Time Sports Network 3-3. This will be a close one, I think. Alex and the Mystics against Team Smooth. This is one of our games of the week. Both teams are 4-2. Team Smooth is coming off a 4-game win streak, and so we're going to see if he can continue that and continue to rise up the ranks. He's jumped quite a bit over the last couple weeks, but yeah, 4-game win streak going against the Mystics. Team Coco 2-4 against Strange Brew. Strange Brew with getting beat pretty heavily there last week with his opponent setting a record. So let's see if he can rebound. Dan Brown Jr. currently number 1 in the division, going against the Ren Zone, the last place in the division. Would be a huge upset for Ren Zone, so hopefully she can pull off the victory there. And we'll see if Stampede can keep their number 1 rank. Mark Manzella 3-3 against Just Josh and Lauren Hill. This should be a good one. Lauren won her 2nd game last week. Mark has been pretty consistent throughout. Should be a good one to watch. Matt Brandon, who set a record last week for the smallest victory margin against TI over at Sports Idiot Nation. Adam Marino at Influencer TV against Shady Brady. Shady Brady is starting to make his comeback. He had a couple of losses there, but making his way back. And Matt Matt over at Legit Sports Media against Welker Home Peyton, Katie, and Jutt. Both teams are 3-3. Let's take a look at the Division 3 matchups for the Goats for Week 7. Here's our overview. You've got Susan going against Ryan Gilmartin. Dino Sports against Tik Tok, trying to hold on to his number 1 or his undefeated streak. You've got Susan over at Gridiron Goddess against Gilmartin. Dino Sports against Tank Latier Tik Tok, trying to hold on to his undefeated streak. Matt Josephs against Jordan Short. Gorilla Camp against Cup of Almond Ramen Noodles. Bevskins against Peachtree Growler. Flurry Sports, Zach Brunner against Scott Habib over at Masterpiece Alliance. Dennis, also undefeated, going against Kamish Kit. See if he can hold on. And Boba Sensei against Cassie Tucker. Let's break this one down. Gridiron Goddess is 3-3 against Gil and Gilmartin. 2-4 should be a good one to watch. Dino Sports against Tank Talk would be a massive upset if Eric is able to pull it off. So best of luck to you, sir. Someone's got to take down these undefeated teams, so hopefully it's you this week. Yippee-ki-yay, Justin Tucker, one of my favorite ones to say, against Jordan Short. Talon over Gorilla Camp going up against Cup of Almond Ramen Noodles. And actually, I'm going to go back to this one. So Talon is actually number 4th ranked in terms of points scored, I believe. 4th, maybe 5th, and is currently ranked 23. So that's always an interesting statistic there. And Cup of Almond Ramen Noodles is sitting pretty steadily at 2-4 in 37th. Bevskins against Peachtree, Big Nick's Energy. Zach Brunner at Flurry Sports against Masterpieces is Scott Habib. Flurry Sports has been on a tear these last couple weeks as well, climbing through the ranks. So I think if he can pull this one off, he'll be at least top 4, I believe. And our other undefeated team, Dennis Tresk over at Rad Dad against Kamish Kit. And our last matchup for Division 3 is Boba Sensei, Nichelle Halleck against Cassie Tucker over at Marketing Happy Hour. Division 4, the Monarchs. Let's take a look at your matchups for Week 7. Here's our overview. Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader going up against Cardiacs. Casey Garcia against Ryan Carr. Jeffrey Demers at Downfield Reaper against Becky Mankin over at Figment's Crew. Dragons Horde against Ohana. Shiar Shugoths against Matthew Ane, locked on. Fancy Couriers against Rachel Douglas. Chet Atkins against Julius over at Team Excitement. And Renee Neal against Jesse Grund. Let's break these guys down. Sebastian Bassett coming off his second win of the season last week against Team Cardiacs. Both teams 2-4. Casey Garcia 4-2 against Ryan Carr. Downfield Reed 3-3 against Figment's Crew 2-4. Both teams looking for that next win there. Keep them alive in the playoff contention. On Dragon Horde against Team Ohana Rizzlers, another one of these games of the week. Both teams are 4-2 and pretty evenly matched, 19th and 22 ranked. Both putting up about the same amount of points every week, so we'll see who's the winner here. The Shiar Shugoths against Matthew Ane in the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast. Matthew is number 3 ranked. I think he's number 2 or 3 ranked in points scored. Been sitting at 3 for a little while, so it'd be nice if Shiar Shugoths and Ben Fisher can take him down a notch. Fantasy Couriers 5-1 against Rachel Douglas. I think they'll have an easy time here. Chet Atkins against Team Excitement. This should be a fun one. And Renee Neal against Diamond Dogs, our last game of the week. Both of these teams are pretty evenly ranked. Both teams are 4-2 and 16th and 17th ranked, and they are also 5th and 6th in the division. So pretty close one. It'll propel one and make it a real challenge for the other one to get to the playoffs. But that's going to do it for this week. Let me know who you think is going to win in the comment section below. It's been a real exciting season so far. Lots of great statistics and some good trash talking, and good to see that continuing into the bye weeks. We do have 3 inactive teams, so keep an eye on the short form postings that we'll have later today about what we're going to do about those teams. Still working on it. Give them every chance we can, but at the end of the day, it's not good for the competition, and we understand that, and we can only do so much to notify them. So if they're not going to answer, we're going to fill the league with people who want to play and want to be here. So we will do that. So keep an eye out. Remember, if you are not currently entered into our contest, check out the description. If you want to be part of the conversation on Tuesdays and perhaps Thursdays, this show. Also, make sure you're part of that email list. Go to our website, fantasyturfwar.com. Either the homepage or hit the join button at the top right. Make sure we have your email. You'll get that information. And I hope to see you guys in that room on Tuesday. But until then, best of luck in your leagues this week. Be kind, be excellent to each other, and we'll see you next time.